It's my pleasure to welcome today's expert, Henrik Vikström, founder and CEO of Pixel Nordic, award-winning SEO consultancy company based here in Stockholm. Henrik has been in the industry for 15 years and helped many companies get great exposure online. And I personally known Henrik for, I think, 8 or 9 years. So we're in good hands, my friends. I'm going to leave the word to Henrik now. And thanks for joining, Henrik, and for coming out of COVID and just slaughtering it. Awesome. Yeah. Good to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Sebastian. Like I told Sebastian, I had COVID this weekend, but I got over it fast. So I'm here and can do this presentation, which I've been looking forward to. I love working with startups, and I think there's often very interesting cases doing SEO for startups, and I know there's always good questions as well. But let's jump into my presentation, and let's write in the chat if you have any questions, and Kat will stop me. I think I will see the questions as well, but please stop me if there's any questions. But write them.
I might interrupt you as well if there's something that I have on my when it comes to clarifications.
Yeah, please do, because I think that's going to be the most interesting, getting like questions. Because I think you guys will have questions regarding all of the things I say. But so this is the basic agenda. I've been modifying it a bit back and forth, but basically SEO, SEM, what that is, and what's the difference. SEO basics, some showing off the Search Console, which is super useful. We're going to talk about international SEO because I think international is quite important for a lot of you guys. I'm going to show the tool Ahrefs, which is a good tool for you guys to test out. They have a free trial, so I'm going to show what you can do there and in a quick and easy way, and some key takeaways and questions in the end. So. But some background, Sebastian provided some background, but why should you listen to me? I've been working with SEO since 2007. I studied at KTH and at the same time worked with SEO. That's where I met Sebastian, and I did an internship on McKinsey. But SEO is so much fun, so when I finished KTH, I've been working full time with that since then. So, and today, I run an agency with 30 plus SEO consultants. We have a bit over 50 million Swedish kronor in revenue and work a lot with startups. Been working with startups like NAKD, Kry, Footway, with their international expansions. So have helped a lot of startups with their SEO. So yeah, but let's start with doing a site search. So everyone pick up their browser and quickly type site : and then your site.se.com. So for example, site : handdiscover.com. Do we have anyone from Handdiscover here today?
Yeah, I'm from Handdiscover.
Yeah, great, Alex. Because I'm gonna be you were an interesting example. So, and I saw that you are learning. So I'm gonna talk a bit about your site today. Hope that's okay.
Sounds good.
So, but I've been looking through. I saw a few signups yesterday. So I've looked through a couple other sites. So I'm gonna pick some, mention relevant things for other sites as well. But it's a good example. But if you do a site search for handdiscover.com, you will see that about 43,000 URLs are indexed. So Google has found around 43,000 pages, which is a lot. I imagine it's probably even more than that, because this is in the lower number, what they display here. And so my first reflection is, are all of these 43,000 pages really relevant? I saw that there were many languages. Are all of these as important? And should we really show all of this to Google, all of the different millions or thousands of combination of search results. Should we really show them to Google? So I think this is one of the first things you guys should do, either during or after this session. Like just do a site search. What have Google found on our webpage? Maybe they found things we actually don't want to show, like login pages or other type of pages that's not really relevant. So maybe we should just no index them. That's basically telling Google that to not have them in their index. So yeah, that's one of the first things I do when I look at a new client. And one of the things I think before you should start doing SEO is actually having the question like, should we do SEO or SEM or maybe both? And if you don't know what SEO or SEM is, it's basically SEO is the organic results in the bottom here, and the SEM is the ads part, the Google Ads, Google AdWords, SEM, search engine marketing, there's performance marketing, or there's many different names for it. It's basically the ads part of Google. And I'm going to use SEM as the terminology for that. And the reason, because I want to talk about the SEO and SEM, is that in many cases, you should actually do SEM before SEO. So when you set up a Google Ads campaign or a SEM campaign, you will get traffic within the next couple of hours or the next day. So you will see quite quickly what is the search behavior, and you will see the search volumes. So for wheelchair hotels in Lisbon, you will see the exact number of searches per month for that keyword. And you can also create an ad and get some traffic on that keyword and see, okay, how do they actually convert? Maybe people searching for wheelchair accessible hotels in Lisbon doesn't really convert, but the ones searching for it in London are converting. So it's very easy to test, basically A/B testing keywords and different hypotheses with SEM. And it's quite hard to do with SEO, because if we create super good content about Lisbon, it's going to probably take us months before we generate enough traffic to see that, oh, maybe these users they aren't converting. So I always recommend like try buying these keywords, spend like 1,000 kroner or 10,000 just to see where are your users, what are they searching for, are they searching, and what market segments and what keywords are actually converting. Because then you can form an SEO strategy. We found out that wheelchair accessible hotels in London is a super good keyword for us. Then we can actually start creating content for that. So, and just to show of hands, how many are doing SEM today? Or are you buying Google Ads? Yeah, about 30–40%, I think would say. Okay. So that's good. And I think if you aren't doing just like, you don't need a massive budget, actually. I think a lot of people think you need a massive budget for SEM, but you don't. You can spend like a few hundred, like 100 kronos per day, and you will get really good insights so that you can optimize your site for. So I would really recommend it for you guys who aren't doing it today. And it's super easy to sign up and create a campaign on Google Ads. And there's also some cases where you shouldn't do SEO. Like we saw with the case for Kry. I don't know if you guys know it. It's like the biggest startup within Doctors Online in Sweden, Swedish-based, now European. And they raised like billions of Swedish kronor. But basically, no one were searching for Doctor Online in Sweden, like Läkare Online. No one even knew that existed back in 2014 when I helped them out. So what people were actually searching for were their symptoms. I have a fever, my kid has a fever, I have a backache. And So that's what we actually started optimizing for, because no one really knew that they could get the doctor in a mobile phone or online. So and that we found out using both the Google Ads keyword planner, so to actually find what keywords are people searching for. And there's also some cases, I think I saw moduli.io were signed up yesterday. So, and I saw that machine learning was one of the key terms that they optimized for. And that's a super, super difficult term. That like a lot of big sites are competing for that. But then it's like finding your niche within, like, okay, we do machine learning for this application, or this is the results you can achieve with our solution. So not going for like this, basically too difficult keywords, because there's millions of sites all trying to be visible on the keyword just machine learning. So finding the right keywords, and that's where Google Ads and Keyword Planner is really good too, and it's almost free to use, as you. Yeah. But let's go into some SEO basics. So when you found like, oh, there is a search behavior, we know that people are searching for these terms. We want to optimize it, optimize for it. But so how does Google work? Basically, Google has 90% plus market share in Europe. So if it's Europe, it's basically Google. It's similar in the US. And in China, it's more like Baidu. It's the largest search engine there, but they are often, and in Russia, it's Yandex, but often search engines work very similar. So I would say that they are like, these basics are also applicable to Baidu and Yandex and other big search engines. And what they look at are three different parts. I mentioned content. So if we want to be able to rank for wheelchair accessible hotels in Lisbon, we're gonna need great content on that. So, and when I talk about content, I talk about text content. So like video content and images are not that important. Google is primarily a text search engine. So we're gonna need like a really good article or really good text content on that. Why you can provide a good answer on that. So imagine a Wikipedia page. They have really good text content. So that's why they generally rank really well.
Henrik, what about video content? If you have a lot of stuff on YouTube, does the algorithm uprank you because of that, or what's the?
No, basically you're going to be visible in YouTube, but you're not going to be better. You're not going to have any benefit in Google. Even if you have 1 million subscribers in YouTube, you're not going to have any benefit in Google. So that's two very separate. So like ranking in YouTube is super separate, and there you have like views and subscriptions and those type of metrics that are important. But for the Google, it doesn't matter like how many views or how much content you have in YouTube. So they're going to look at the text on your page. So content and text content, where good landing pages are essential, is the first part. The second part is links. Google looks at who is linking to your page. So if a lot of like newspapers link to your page, then you get their authority. So that's one of the other super important parts, but also the tech part. So they need to be able to crawl your site, to find the content, to find the right content, and not get bloated of millions of or thousands of empty or thin pages. So showing the right pages to Google is also essential. And do you guys remember when you switched from maybe AltaVista or some other search engines to Google back in 2000? I don't know if anyone remembers why they switched from AltaVista.
All the cool kids were using Google.
That's one reason. Any other reasons why you switched?
Yeah, as just the obvious once you tried it, like the obvious search hits was way more relevant.
Yeah, I think that's most of the cases. Like they tried it out and saw like, okay, Altivista, I only get like spam or non-relevant results, but in Google I got really relevant results. So in like a year or two, Google grew from basically nothing to being like the majority, the biggest search engine, because they have so much better results. And why did they have so much better results than all of the other search engines? Many of the other search engines only looked at the content and the text on the page. So the one who mentioned the keyword the most times actually it was the meta keywords tag. So people just filled in the meta keywords tag with millions of keywords, and that wasn't really relevant because so Google actually doesn't look at the meta keywords tag at all. That is one of a common misperception. So that's how the old search engines did, and that didn't generate relevant results. But Google, they looked at the links to your site. So who is linking to you? Are these small sites linking to a bigger site, and the big site, like a newspaper, is linking to you? Then it's a super authoritative link, and that's a good signal that you're a high quality site. So you're actually counting them as votes, and the stronger votes you get, the more reputation you get, and the ability to rank within that is higher. And especially if you get, like let's take the example of Handiscover. If you get links from like wheelchair or disabled or those type of organizations, that's super good within your topics. So those links are gonna help you guys a lot. Also, like newspapers, PR is always super good links to get. So getting featured, getting links is a way to build up authority on your site. And there's actually tools where you can monitor this. I'm going to show you Ahrefs, which is a super popular SEO tool later. But here you can actually see that from 2016, where handiscover.com basically had 0 links, they have grown over a period of time and different spikes, and now they're at about 650 unique links to their site. So you can actually measure yourself and your competitors to see, like, okay, what links do we have, what links do our competitors have, and how strong are we compared to them? So you know, like, where are we able to compete and where are we not? So like competing with Airbnb, they have millions of links, so it's going to be super hard to compete with them on like generic terms. But if we check within like accessible accommodations, you actually see that Handiscover is quite strong. So like compared to the competitors. So there's a very good possibility to be seen and get visibility. And how do we get these links? Because they're often quite hard to get. I think one of the best ways for a startup is like doing PR, like funding rounds, startup blogs, like niche media. So if you're working within Bitcoin or crypto, yeah, there's like hundreds or thousands of pages writing about that, getting featured there. Like actually building a process where you make sure that you send, like doing PR at scale. So if there's 1,000 pages writing about crypto, then you actually need quite a process to reach out to all of those 1,000 pages and doing it in a relevant way with relevant content. So it takes a lot of time, but it's both generates traffic and generates links to your site that's going to generate SEO traffic. So there's, I think that's a really good way to do it. And I'm going to show Ahrefs, but there's also Majestic, where you can see like your competitors, what links do they have. So like if you're within the fashion industry and going to enter Germany, like looking at Zalando and what influencers and blogs they have collaborated with in Germany is probably a really good way to find 1,000 good pages to collaborate with. And that applies to all of the different markets and segments. So checking competitors is a really good way to just finding out where should we start. And like sponsor posts from influencers, blogs within your segment, if it's crypto or if it's like accessible accommodations or if it's consultancy services, like there's probably a bunch of trade media writing within that. So just get them featured, even if it's a sponsored post with a link to you guys is still good. And usually it's not that expensive. Like, yeah, the question there.
Well, since you bring it up, the crypto sphere, where there's a lot of this stuff going on, and in many cases sponsored posts would have no follow, or alternatively, in some cases, there are certain things that end up getting penalized by Google for doing this too much or in unethical ways and so on. Like, what would be some advice to in terms of, since you listed sponsoring influencers and blogs, like what would be your advice to navigate those murky waters?
Yeah, that's quite a specific question for like high competition segments. So this is not applicable to all of you guys, but if you're in like a high competition segment like crypto or finance, or there's a couple other ones, but those like finance and crypto are basically one of the biggest ones. But then like what anchor text is super important. So the actual link to your page, if that is like just Bitcoin or like some super commercial keyword, that's one of the things Google mainly looks at. So if you have 100 links on those super commercial terms, then you like your risk of getting penalized is higher. And also, like the better the pages you collaborate with, the less chance, the better Google will think as well. So if there's like 100 really low quality pages that you do this link collaboration with, then it's a bigger chance that Google's not going to think that it's great. But if there are really high authority, high quality pages with good content, then in general, then they're going to think it's good. So good pages like with good content, like minding the anchor text, not have too commercial keywords, working more with maybe your brand, like just linking your brand and referencing that. That's also one way to handle that. Yeah, those are the main things I would say.
How does Google analyze what's a high quality page versus a bad one?
They do it both also automatically and manually. So they have like thousands of manual reviewers that review pages and see if they are good or not. And if they are crappy, they have crappy content, then they're going to say, okay, this is probably not a good site. And then Google has that. But they also have algorithms to determine that, like how good is the content on this page? Are they linking out to suspicious pages, or like how many spelling errors? Like they have many ways to measure what is a good site. But generally, you can, if you go into a site and feel that this is a good site with good content, then Google will think the same.
What if you get blacklisted? Like, how do you get off that penalty?
It's not that often that you get that today. It was more common like 5 years ago that you got blacklisted, and then you would get a message in Google Search Console saying like you're blacklisted. But if you're blacklisted, then basically, in most cases, you would get a message in Google Search Console. Sometimes you don't, but you will see that you're basically not visible. And then the best way, if you get a message from them, like you have bought a natural rings, which is really, really uncommon. But if you do, then you can clean that up and send them a message. Okay, we have cleaned this up. Please let us back into Google's index. So there's actually quite a good way back. So, and yeah, going back to getting links for a startup, like in Sweden, there's if you only want to see what blogs there are, there's Bloggportalen, but there's like searching within like competitor backlinks is probably the easiest way to find good relevant pages that can link to you as well. And yeah, we talked a little bit about content, and I mentioned this accessible guide to Lisbon. And so this is really good to have, actually having this content, having an article that explains about Lisbon, what's that it's yeah, the topic. But the important part is maybe not blocking it for Google. You can block it for the users, so they can't read the whole text if they're not signed in. But probably you shouldn't block Google their visibility, because then you will lack. So that's one of the tips for Handiscover. Maybe I don't know if you guys have thought about it, but at least showing the content for Google is probably a good way. But creating this content is super good. But also thinking about like title, the meta descriptions, and I think this is quite a good case, like disabled friendly accommodations in Finland, and also book now. So it's like a clear call to action. So I would say like the title tag here is quite good, but the meta description is probably you see that they are like auto generated. So like having a good template for the meta description is probably a good way thing to fix here. So thinking about like okay, if we have 1,000 pages, what template could we use for all of these pages? And if we have like some super important articles, like what title and meta description do we want to show in the search results? And see them as an ad, because that's, if you're searching for a crypto converter or whatever, then the title and meta description is what shows in search results. And the better you explain yourself, your unique selling point, the more clicks you will get. And also within tech and crawlability, the third part, there's a really good tool that's called Google Search Console. It's free. And if you haven't got it on your site, just Google Search Console. It's super easy to verify with like an HTML code. And there you can actually see like how many pages are valid, how many are excluded, where do Google see errors. So it's super useful tool, and it's free. And you can also see like your search performance there. So you can see what keywords you are visible for, how many clicks you got, how many impressions, your ranking position. So it's a super good free tool.
Quick question on Search Console.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if I remember correctly, you can get like notifications if they think your page, your website is not optimized for mobile. How much attention should you spend on that if you know that you've done like done an okay job on it, and how that they what type of device, basically how are they thinking about those things?
Yeah, generally the notifications for Google Search Console are quite bad, so I generally don't look at them. And you can see like the mobile usability report here. So you can actually see that, okay, how many errors do we have, and fix them. But in general, I don't look that much at this. The top things I would look at in Google Search Console is performance. So what keywords are we actually being visible for? And like looking at the trend here, you can see like, okay, what is the trend? Like as we are an SEO agency, like searching during summer is probably not that common. But you can also look at like, okay, within like is this keyword, like what are our positions, how many impressions are we getting, from what countries are we getting this traffic, what devices. So there's a lot of data here that's super useful. And you don't need like expensive monitoring tools for SEO because you have most of it here. You can see what queries, like how much traffic. You can see the position on each keyword. So like, for example, SEO Bureau, which is SEO agency, we are ranking crap on that. We're position 43. That's really bad. And that's, yeah, basically we haven't optimized our own site. That's another issue. But so I would really recommend.
Sorry to jump in, Kat. 10 minutes left,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 14 minutes ish.
Oh, we 10 minutes until the Q&A should start, right? Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Kat.
Yeah, and you also have the coverage report here, where you can see like how many pages have Google found, and what pages have they discovered that aren't indexed. So sign up for Google Search Console and check the performance and coverage reports. They're really useful. Yeah, and also I know a lot of startups have this problem. They are often 100% JavaScript based. Also, Discover, I think they have this problem as well. It's basically, if your site is client-side rendered, Google will have a lot of difficulties like reading the site. So using some server-side rendering or dynamic rendering so that Google doesn't have to render the JavaScript to see the HTML code is a super important thing, and it's very common for startups to not have server-side rendering. And they say that they're good at understanding JavaScript and client-side rendered sites, but they're not. So please use server-side rendering if you're JavaScript-based, have a JavaScript-based site. Otherwise, your visibility in Google is going to be really bad.
We got a question from Daniel. When it comes to the performance page, did Google include the impressions for both SEM and SEO, or just SEO?
Just SEO. So within the performance for SEM, you have that in the Google Ads tool. So in Google Ads, you will see the SEM performance, and the SEO performance is in Google Search Console. So they're not aligned on anything. They're two complete separate tools and measuring different ways as well. So different teams in Google building them, but they're actually measuring quite similar things. Good question. Yes, let's talk some international SEO. Like if you want to be visible in Germany or some like more local language and market, you will need local content. That's and I saw many of the signups from I saw yesterday. Like a lot of your pages are in English. If you want to be visible on the Swedish market, you're gonna need Swedish content. So if you want to be visible on it's basically Swedish searches, you're gonna need Swedish content. If you want to be visible on German searches, you're going to need that language. So that's one of the things I think. If you have a target market, if it's Europe, then like local languages are going to be super important. You don't need to translate the whole site, but the key services you want to rank for, you need local and the start page, of course. So languages and translations are important.
Awesome. Ricardo asks, does Google penalize for having the same blog post in several different languages?
No, as long as it's okay translated. If it's 100% machine translated, and if the translation is crap, then it's probably not that good. But if it's translated with a good translation, then they think it's all right. So that's okay. So imagine if Discover would create a really good content about wheelchair accessible Lisbon, but also publishing the translation in Spanish. That's super relevant and super good. Who would like that? Another common question from startups are TLDs, CC-TLDs. So basically, should we use .com or do we need .sc, .no, .de? I would say today you don't need those local TLDs anymore, like SC, NO, DE. You can rank quite well with just using .com/sc, .com/de. So, and like one of the cases I work a lot with is like naked.com, which is a fashion site. We are ranking over like really big competitors like Zalando when they have local domains and really good SEO work. So you don't like .com site is okay, or .io, or it doesn't really matter. Yeah, TLD is not that important anymore. Before it was, but so feel free to use the TLD you like, if it's IO or anything else. But I think a lot of you guys were .com, right?
Sergey asks, do you go by country or language?
Language. So Google mainly goes by language. But that's always a difficult like conflict, like, okay, what we want to show in, but using the hreflang tag can help with that. Like, so if you only want to show like German in Germany, but not in Austria, then you can use the hreflang tag to specify that. So if you use multiple languages, look up the hreflang tag, and you will be able to sort this out and tell Google what languages to rank for. And also local links are important. So imagine if we want to be visible in Germany on German keywords, we're going to need links from German sites. So again, Handiscover example, if you want to be visible in Germany, you're going to need sites in Germany linking to you guys.
Sorry, Henrik, a quick question on that. There are some obvious observations if you compare Sweden to Germany, for example. In Sweden, you can convert quite good to paying customers and getting credibility by doing pages in English, as compared to some areas in Germany, like they won't even click on your page unless it's in German. Like, could you, like, does that matter at all from the eyes of like Google indexing, or like how should one look at that?
Yeah, basically, if you want to be able to rank in Swedish for Swedish keywords, you won't be, even though they convert, you won't be visible. So I would say Google is even more like conservative there. Like they only want to show Swedish content in Sweden for Swedish keywords. So, but if you're searching for English keywords, definitely like machine learning in Sweden, they're going to show English pages. But if you're searching for Swedish keywords, then you're going to need local languages. So local languages are good if you have that type of search behavior. Yeah, I'm going to show a quick demo of Ahrefs, which is one of my favorite tools. There's a free trial of this tool, so you can basically download your competitors' links or whatever you need. I think there's like 7-day free trial, but this is one of my favorite tools. And
how much does it cost? Post trial?
Yeah, like $100, $200 a month. So
it's 137. I just signed up, so you should get a referral fee, Henrik.
Yeah, but
or like a backlink.
Yeah, it's a really good tool. So if you want to check your like competitors, like I saw like disabled holidays are ranking quite well for the keywords Handiscover wants to rank for. So we can actually see, check all of the referring domains, all of the pages that are linking to disabledholidays.com, and we can actually see exactly where on lock.gov there are these two links to that site. So it's a really good way to find out like what are your competitors doing and where are they getting their links from. You can also see like the organic keywords report is quite good as well to see where are they getting their organic traffic. So like accessible holidays UK is one of their like main traffic drivers, and like so like finding out like how much traffic are they getting, on what keywords and what pages are linking to them. Ahrefs is super good and easy way to do that. You can also see like how much traffic do they generate from SEO. So they generate about 10,000 visitors a month from their SEO work. And you can also see like the traffic graph over time. So actually they had more traffic before, but have lost traffic in the last couple of years. So quick Ahrefs demo.
We have 1 more minute if you want to wrap it up before the Q&A.
Yeah, some key takeaways. Find the search behavior using Google Ads. Produce great text content about the keywords you found in Google Ads. Get links to your site. Have localized languages, and make sure that search engines can actually access and render your page. That's basically the most common things that a startup should focus on. And here's some good online courses and further reading. Ahrefs have a lot of good guides and YouTube channel, but also like beginner guides to SEO that must have. So if you want to reading more about SEO, I can recommend these resources. Cool. Ready for Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Before we start, I'm gonna launch a couple of questions, 3 quick questions. It's gonna help us to make sure that we're providing the right content for you.
Awesome.
It would be great if everybody can fill it out.
Yeah. Please respond while we're doing the Q&A. It really helps us with tweaking the workshops to make sure that it's all relevant. We had someone raise their arm. Sergey, what's up?
Thanks, by the way, great presentation. People are always thinking of what they should do. What are some things that, in your experience, people do that is not useful or even counterproductive, where startups usually waste energy?
Really good question. One of the most common misperceptions within SEO is actually related to core web vitals or page speed. So that because Google is telling everyone that you need a super quick page to be able to rank within Google, but that's actually not correct. So that's a lot of startups and companies spending a lot of effort on trying to optimize every loading time, like milliseconds, to they think they're going to be better visible in Google, but they're actually not. Like it's a super small ranking factor. It is a ranking factor, but it's so small. Like one link is way more than probably like 3 seconds in load time. But then like having a decent load time is good for users, but it's not important for, I would say not important for SEO.
Entirely, sort of.
Yeah, basically entirely. Yeah, it's a very common misperception, and that's like it's Google pushing this out, and yeah, they're not making our job easier.
For the title and meta parts, you said the auto-generated content is not good. It's not considered good. But what about if you have about 8,000 pages and you will somehow need to create the content? Do you have any hacks or some websites that have been doing it nicely? Examples?
Yeah, like creating content at scale. There's different ways to do it. Like somewhat template-based content. So imagine if you're an e-commerce store and you have 10,000 products, you can create a template for those products. Or if you're like search results on HandDiscover, like template-based results is one way to get some better content. User-generated content is also one way to get content on a lot of pages. A lot of like e-commerce stores use that to get content on their products. It's like Amazon, they have like hundreds of product reviews on each product, and that's helping them in Google to rank better because they have more and unique content. But also like if you're not able to like produce content at scale, you're not able to get user-generated content, I would also think about slimming down the site. Do we actually need 43,000 pages indexed on HandDiscover? Do we need the whole French site indexed? Like, is that even important for us? Maybe we should just remove that. So slimming down the site, so maybe, because generally you don't need like 10,000 pages to rank. It's better to rank well on like 100 or 1,000 pages with good content than having tens of thousands or hundreds or thousands of thin content pages. Hope that answered your question. Perfect.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
go ahead.
If you're using influencer marketing, how do you optimize that, turn that into great results on SEO?
Really good question. So again, there the links is the most essential. So if you have a, let's say, influencer within Instagram that's posting a post about you, if they have a blog, if we can get that the regular web page to link to you guys, then it will help. Like an Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, it's not going to help with SEO. So like integrate, like getting the influencer to link to your page from the regular site is essential there. So having that in the influencer marketing process.
So it's essentially like making some noise and making sure that some indexed pages are bringing this up, and that our company is doing this with this influencer, and then that's being published on the web and indexed by Google, and therefore turns into value.
Usually in the influencer marketing process, I have that as a question, like, do you have a blog? What is how, like, and also checking the metrics of that in like Ahrefs. So you can actually value, like if you see that that site is super weak, then you won't get that much value, SEO value from that. But if you see like they have thousands and thousands of unique links, then it's a lot of value. So also like estimating the value of each influencer and each link, and there like Ahrefs is a really good tool for that.
What about if they're like video centric content marketers, where they're only they don't even have an email, right? They're maybe TikTok or Instagram, or like I'm guessing there's some type of call to action that you want them to focus on to optimize this, or
actually
you drive traffic?
It's not going to help the SEO at all, like TikTok, Instagram, like, so I would say that's not going to help your SEO. So then you should only pay for like what that Instagram or TikTok post actually going to help you. But if you have someone that actually have their own blog or website, then you can also estimate, okay, what is the SEO value for this blog post as well, and how will this link help us? So it's like both driving the traffic and also the link juice.
I can jump in with a question. We never talked about App Store optimization. Obviously, this is it's another animal, right?
Yeah.
Could you just comment on that for a moment, and how that all connects? Like if you have a native app versus a website.
Yeah. So App Store optimizations have some similarities. So like the keywords your users are searching for are often quite similar. But like the links part, they don't use links or like the technical crawling of your site. They instead of using links as a like authority metric, they use like downloads and download velocity, those type of metrics. So, but the keywords part and optimizing for the right keywords is, I would say, very similar to optimizing for Google, but.
How fast can you turn around like a significant improvement on SEO? Who should you turn to, and how much you need to spend?
Like we have clients who spent like a couple of thousand Swedish kronor per month and got really good results, and we have clients who spent hundreds of thousands of Swedish kronor. So I would say it depends, but the better like your link profile is, the faster you will get results, because that's often the biggest investments. Like creating a few really good content pieces is not that expensive. So if you have a good link profile and a good site, then creating good content is basically, you can do it yourself. You don't even need an SEO agency to find the search behavior and create good content. But if you don't have any links, that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of effort. And then there I would probably use, like, if you have someone within marketing, like integrating that into their PR and content marketing process to actually get links as well, is probably a good way to build that authority up. But that's going to take time.
Does Google penalize you for link exchanges? So, for example, I've heard of these Facebook groups where you can share links with each other and then get however many you need and then add that to your blog post.
Generally, I would say no. They were more doing that a couple of years back. But as long as they're relevant, good pages, if you guys would exchange links with other like accessible accommodation sites, Google would think that is very natural and very good for the users. But if you would get linked from some Chinese or Russian non-relevant sites, then probably you're gonna get penalized, or they're just gonna disregard those links because they're gonna think they're crap. So like authority and topic, as long as they're good pages with good authority and good topic, I would say it's go ahead.
I mean, I'm assuming Google has a different way of measuring, like if you have 100 links on the Washington Post, like Amazon acquired, I mean, they have as many links as they want, but spreading those links out between many different places, I'm assuming that's highly valued, correct?
That's a really good question. Like, is one link from like Washington Post, Amazon, or 100 links, is that how much more value does 100 links drive? And it's actually the marginal effect of like the 99 more links is quite low. So actually getting like one link from a site is the important part. The next 99 is not that important. So
is there like a critical mass where you need to hit in terms of how many different pages there are kind of Google kosher that you need to be on and linked from or to?
It depends on the segment. Like within fashions, you need probably the thousands, tens of thousands, or within probably crypto as well, you're probably going to need thousands. But within like disabled or accessible accommodations, it's probably a couple of hundreds. Or if it's like some more niche service in Sweden, then it can be a couple of like 10, 20, 30 pages, and then you still have enough link value to be able to compete.
So the more niche, the less number of pages needed, but the higher quality obviously matters. Why is crypto so high? Like, can you unpack that a little bit?
It's a lot of money within crypto. So like, and also like finance, like loans is also super high, like super competitive. And
is it maybe like betting, like the same level of chaos?
Yeah. So like the more value it is, the more people are going to be working with it and getting links to be able to rank. So
we have 3 more minutes. Okay, I'm getting a question here from Håkan. Can the SEO SEM tactics you presented be reversed to help me source the most influential content producers on a specific theme and region? Is that correct? Is that the question you wanted to ask, Håkan?
Good question.
Yes, it is.
I would like Ahrefs actually has quite a good tool called content. I think it's content something, a content explorer, where you can view the topics, like key sites driving traffic on that topic, and also like checking like what keywords are ranking. Like SEM tactics probably not, but SEO tactics definitely. Like if they are ranking number one for accessible holidays in UK, then they're probably going to be a site that drives a lot of traffic and be an influential content producer. So like the more traffic they generate within your segment, within their more influential content producer they're going to be. So there's doing that, I would use like a tool like Ahrefs. There you can find both like competitors driving or sites driving a lot of traffic within that segment and region.
Thank you very much, and great presentation.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for the question, Håkan, as well. Any other questions to shoot in before we have 1 more minute? Then I'm going to ask a question regarding, now we're talking a lot about getting links and attention. What about negative attention? Is there any sentiment analysis that goes on to those algorithms, or like, is it just
not
words, marketing, like everything announced or mentioned is good marketing, or where do you stand there?
Like generally when you get a negative mention, they don't really link to your site. So if H&M have child labor, the newspaper won't link to H&M. But if there's some positive, they generally link. Like H&M does great sustainability work. They're going to link to H&M's sustainability work. So there's some correlation there that negative things don't get as many links in the posts that positive. But like if you get a link, even if it's negative, it's going to help your SEO. So, but I probably wouldn't recommend it.
That makes sense. That's it for us. We are on full time now. Thank you so much, Henrik, for sharing your insights. Really appreciate you taking time. And for those who are tuning in, thanks so much for joining in and asking your great questions. I know it will be helpful for those who couldn't tune in today as well. If you want to hear more of us chatting, we're going to jump in on a live stream fireside chat in a couple of minutes that will be streamed on LinkedIn and Facebook, I think. Yeah, stay tuned to our next session. And thanks so much for today.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.